Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Shangsheng School of Tibetan Medicine, I want to warmly welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us once again today. On our show, we explore Tibetan medicine's contribution to the greater conversation of global public health and its role in the rich cultural heritage of traditional healing arts and science from all around the world. Thank you for joining us. We are really excited to be working more in-depthly with our new learning community on our new learning platform. And for those of you joining us through Facebook Live today, if you have not already, please do come and check out our new community learning platform. That's going to be at community.tibetanmedicineschool.org, where we have information and links to all of our upcoming exciting programs, and we can keep in touch, Q&A and all of that sort of thing. So thank you so much. We're really happy to have you all today. So this week, we welcome our special guest, Mr. Tsherin Sherpa, who is an intriguing modern artist. Mr. Sherpa works to integrate the unique essence of classical Tibetan artwork with the contemporary environment of global culture. Mr. Tsherin works in a variety of mediums expressing themes of the Himalayan Diaspora, the Buddhist Dharma, and commentary on the modern world today. Through his evocative art, Tsherin Sherpa bridges the sacred and the secular, the historical and contemporary, classical and modern artistic approaches. Thank you so much for being with us today, Tsherin. It's really an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
As always, our school director and our ongoing show host, Menpa Punsak Wangmo, is here, and later on she will discuss some aspects of the role of art and artistic expression in traditional Tibetan medicine, especially in the system of medical Thangka paintings, where we'll see a very clear link between art and the science in Tibetan medicine. So Menpa Wangmo, thank you so much for hosting our show as always. And of course, thank you to Matthew and our team of tech support and admin, really helping us out with our new platform and everything else. All right, so let's jump right in. Tsherin, thank you so much for being with us. And so you're in California now. How's everything going?
Everything is good. I just came to California just about a month ago from Nepal, and will be returning in another couple of weeks, actually.
Well, I'm really glad we were able to catch you, and we're really over here really hoping that things go well in Nepal as far as the challenges of vaccination and the pandemic, and so we're really hoping that things go very well and that you will have really smooth and safe travels and successful journeys.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So we wanted to have you on today because your art is rooted in this classical traditional Tibetan art form, this beautiful ancient tradition. And then you have brought that through your travels and inspiration and just life work. You've really brought that into a modern expression and integrated important themes and aspects of modern global culture and just done this in an amazing way. And it's just truly inspiring. And this is really an important theme for us because we are working with the ancient teachings of Tibetan medicine, the healing arts and sciences, which are rooted in very ancient centuries old. And everybody, once again, please have your video and your audio muted at all times. And then we're going to be able to come in a little later on towards the end and do some live Q&A where we will see you and hear you. We're looking forward to that. But for now, please, everybody, let's keep on mute the whole time. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're working with a centuries-old tradition of medical science and needing to bring that into the limelight of the modern era and apply that and see what important aspects we carry over and what needs to change and adapt. And it's an amazing and challenging endeavor. And so I think it kind of parallels this kind of bridge of the sacred to the secular in the way that you have done your art. So thank you so much for joining us. And I understand that you have some slides and presentation to show us today.
Yes, I have a slideshow presentation which I would like to show and maybe go through it and share some of my works through the slides. Yeah.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, please do. Please go right on ahead and take your time and just tell us all about it however you like. And then at the end, we'll pick it up from there and have some more discussion.
Thank you. Uh, so, so these are some of the works from early on 2000 to just recently 2022. So I was born and brought up in a very typical Buddhist family. My father is a practicing Thangka artist, and this is the images of my father. And the other image is of me when I was studying with him back in 1985, 86. So after completing my high school, I actually, my father felt that it was very important for me to study this traditional techniques of Thangka painting. And also, I think many of the practicing Thangka artists were concerned about the preservation of the traditional art. So I actually studied with him formally for about 5 years, which consists of learning how to do the measurement system, how to grind the pigments. My father especially uses mineral pigments that were used in Tibet earlier. So I had to learn how to prepare the canvas, make brushes. So everything, it was very, very strict traditional education system. And simultaneously, I was also going to study Buddhist prayers, calligraphy, and scriptures to a nearby monastery, which is Kanying Shedubling, which is in Bodha in Kathmandu monastery. So I was one of the lay person, like sitting with many of these young monks, studying these Buddhist prayers and stuff. So growing up, my environment was very, very traditional. It was kind of very natural to be within that traditional setup. This is an example of one of my works. After the 5-year training, then I also collaborated with my father in helping him, assisting him in painting monastery murals, many commissioned thangkas, intricate commissioned thangkas. And in 98, I came to America. And from 98 onwards, I was actually working for a Buddhist foundation here in California as their resident Thangka artist, and also teaching Thangka painting to the Buddhist students. And that's when I also started getting few private commissions from Buddhist practitioners. So these were some of the Thangkas that I was painting back then. And this is another one. And in 2003, I was invited by the Asian Art Museum to do a program called Asia Alive here in San Francisco. And the program was about introducing traditional art to the Bay Area audience, basically, museum visitors. And it was a month-long residency at the museum where I would be sitting there and demonstrating the traditional art, and viewers would interact with me and see the whole process of painting traditional Thangka. After that program, I think somehow Jamba Juice, the juice company, they were interested in making some marketing posters to launch their new drink, which was called Enlightened Smoothies. Was kind of funny, but basically they had less sugar in the drink or something like that. So they wanted to collaborate with me on this, seeing that there were very few Thangka painters in the area. And then I was actually, it was something non-traditional for the first time, to make it look like traditional, but at the same time, many of the important aspects were all taken out so that it, because it was a marketing poster. So, so this was my first experiment outside the traditional format. And around, so I was still continuing to paint Thangkas for some time. And then later around 2006, 7, 8, 9, I started exploring my own style beyond Thangka painting, and also having worked with Jamba Juice for their marketing poster, it made me understand a lot about what goes behind marketing in a corporation or whatever. So then I wanted to incorporate that into my work, which is non-traditional work. It's I call it contemporary work. And I still wanted to use the traditional technique, but wanted to create something that is relatable in our today's time. So this is a work, I titled it Modern Prayer Flag. And during the collaboration with the Jamba Juice, I got to learn how marketing phrases and all of these advertisements are created. So over here in the background, it looks like Tibetan script, but it's actually all in English. And this is all the marketing slogans that I either saw on billboards or heard on the radio. So for example, there's like buy one, get one free, real food for your busy lifestyle, all of these. Like, so I was noticing that corporations sometimes were, making one consume a lot, and simultaneously, again, like providing a remedy for that. So it was kind of a very interesting dichotomy for me. And also at that time, I was living in Oakland, California, and I was trying to imagine my my time in Nepal. My parents are living in Bodha in Nepal, a sacred space for a sacred site for Buddhist practitioners. And from my father's parents' home's window, I could see many prayer flags. And here in Oakland, from my apartment window, I would see giant billboards. So there was that another dichotomy there. So I was trying to see like how I can like use these experiences to create something of my work. And speaking of the medical Thangkas, actually, I grew up seeing so many of these images in books, and also many new medical Thangkas that were created in Nepal at that time. And I was always fascinated by these lines, the nerve lines and everything. So I actually, these lines that you see in this body was very much inspired from the medical Thangka. Yeah. And then around 2009, I created this work. Was right after the financial crunch in here after the 2008 financial crunch. And then it made me actually reflect a lot about, what is finance, what kind of projection or we have towards it. And also in my own case, like before making these works, I was painting traditional Thangkas here in the Bay Area too. But it was very, very difficult for me to survive and continue the work because there were lots of souvenir, like quality Thangkas that were coming in from Nepal, which were sold very inexpensively, and an ordinary novice like I would have the difficulty to make a distinction between what is a high art and what is just a tourist souvenir product from Nepal. So then I actually started making my own works more and more. And but at the same time, I was also trying to understand what I was doing back then when I was painting Thangkas. And constantly, my dilemma would be about like making this work to pay my bills and rents, So I don't know, from outside, it appears like I'm a Thangka painter painting these Thangkas for like certain purpose. But inside, like there's lots of trauma. For me, the image of the deities were becoming more and more of a commodity, just so that I can like, use it to pay my bills. So that was something that I was thinking at that time when I was creating this. It's titled Derivative. And then in 2010, I was invited to Vermont Studio Center to participate in an art residency for 2 months. And this was my first experience as an artist in a residency like setup. As I've mentioned earlier, I have only been trained in traditional Thangka painting. I've never been to art school here. The development and understanding of like contemporary work was through many of my friends and those who were studying Thangka painting classes with me. Some of them were university professors, art professors, and many of them were artists themselves. So it was kind of like a crash course for me on Western art, like theory, Western art history, etc., etc. And so during my residency in Vermont, I needed to, at the end of the program, I had to create a body of work, and then I wanted to include all of my residency mates somehow into my work. So I started going to other residency artists' studio. I actually drew a hand of the Buddha immediately right there, and I would like exchange it with all of their discarded materials, whichever that they were throwing away. So, and I started also documenting it, the whole process. Like it's kind of like I was imagining kind of like a Buddhist monk going there and sending out prayers and receiving some alms. So kind of like that exchange. And so at the end of the thing, the idea for me was without their contribution, the materials wouldn't be there. And without that, I wouldn't be able to create this work. So it's kind of like a collaboration as opposed to just my creation. So I think yeah, probably I was very strongly influenced by the Buddhist idea of interdependence reality. Yeah. And also around the same time, I started creating this character. I call it Spirit. Uh, this was very much inspired by my grandmother's stories. When I was growing up, when I was younger, my grandmother, my father's mother, used to tell us a lot of stories from like southern part of Tibet, and there's in Tibetan we call Lu Shita. So all kinds of like spirits, spirits of the mountain, spirit of the valley, spirit of the particular region. And I used to like kind of imagine what the spirit looks like. And I'm also imagining like for someone like me who has traveled from this Himalayan region to a new place, and I meet a lot of other people like myself here. I'm imagining whatever happens to the spirit. Do they also travel with the people? And if they were traveling, how do they adjust themselves in this new environment? So this is how I developed this character, and the actually the figure, the body is my own body, and then it consists of lots of tiny photographs of all the Himalayan people that I downloaded from computer. And so it's kind of like, to me, spirit again also means collective mental phenomena, I guess. So a phenomena is created through all of these collected projection or belief systems. Then I developed this spirit character further and further out, and this one is called Two Spirits. Again, playing with alphabet blocks and butterflies. I started painting butterflies a lot in my works because to me, butterfly is really interesting how it keeps on changing its form from egg to larva to pupa to a fully developed butterfly. I was finding myself in somewhat in a similar situation because I was born and brought up in Nepal, and then I was trying to adjust myself in that environment. The school that I went to, the high school that I went to over there, only had like 5 students that looked like me. Otherwise, from all different like ethnicity. And then again, I briefly went to Taiwan to study computer science and Mandarin. And again, I had to like assimilate myself like in that environment. So, and later coming to America, again, like trying to always blend in, so I think I keep on changing my shell or the appearance or my identity to fit in that environment. So, and this is from 2011-12, again, like the spirit character in a dancing pose. And in around 2013, I noticed like many of the Himalayan people who have actually immigrated to America were having like bearing children. So they were like beginning to have a family, So, and again, at the same time, we hear so many, whenever I'm painting in my studio, I used to have the radio turned on in the background, and the news is like normally it's kind of gloomy. There's like so many things happening in the world, and I was constantly imagining like what kind of world we are leaving behind for all of these you know, growing up children. So that was kind of a concern. And so these are some of the works that I created back then. And again, in 2010, this project started. Like there was a project where I was supposed to create 108 individual paintings. Each square is about 20 by 20 inch. So it's a huge, like, I've never seen it put together actually. So it was a commission piece for somebody in New Zealand. And the idea was to make 108 paintings that had connection to each other. And then at the same time, each painting is an individual piece. So it reminded me of like a prayer bead that we have, 108. So then what I did was I actually looked up on the internet and found there was an old Thangka of Chakrasambara at the Metropolitan Museum or something like that. So I used their image and cropped it in 108 fragments to create this piece. And the idea for me was when I was living here in the States, I noticed like each of these Himalayan nuclear families that have arrived here are trying to, I mean, like preserve whatever tradition, language, culture that they have brought, a fragment of it, and trying to preserve it properly here. And it's kind of, it was a beautiful thing that I saw. And I wanted to, even though it doesn't become a complete thing, but still it contains so much information and so much value. So this was the idea. And this work is actually was created in 2017. This is on view at the Rubin Museum right now in New York. This work was created after the earthquake in Nepal in 2015. So it's titled Luxation 1. And another work that I have been also I've been exploring is because when I was growing up, my family was like, my father was traditional artist, a Thangka painter. My two uncles were traditional Thangka painters. My father's cousins were Thangka painters. My father's uncles were Thangka. So I was in this environment where I was like, there's so many of these images that I would see on day-to-day basis. And sometimes like, for me as a young kid growing up this environment, sometimes I forget that these are sacred images. Somehow I lose the value of these images because of like seeing it's normalized, almost desensitized, I guess. So I'm trying to probably find the essence of the deity sometimes by not focusing on the form, but the essence. So how can I do that? So it was more of an exploration of like in search of the essence and the quality of the deity through manipulation of the form. So here is like 5 work in progress. And then this one is also a recent work from 2017. This is actually an image of Mahakala. And in 2014, I was invited by the Victoria and Albert Museum in London to create a piece for their permanent collection. And so I went to London and I saw the space where they were going to hang the work permanently. And then I went through all of their like Himalayan collection at the museum, and wanted to respond through this experience and create something new. But I was actually a little bit surprised because at the V&A, like the Himalayan gallery is actually very, very, it's like a corridor, you know, it's not even a room, like this really nice Indian gallery, this really nice Chinese gallery, Japanese gallery, Korean gallery, and Himalayan gallery is just a small corridor. And many times I would just miss it, like while walking in that museum. So I felt like I need to make something very loud, very vibrant, so that people who are walking through that gallery will have to stop and pay attention. So I created this particular spirit character with a swirling deity. I titled it Victory to the Spirit. For Himalayan artists to be included or invited to big institutions like Victoria and Albert Museum is very, very rare, because there's huge like a pool of artists, and somehow, like, because we happen to come from a very small region, we get somehow we disappear within that thing. And I wanted to make a statement by saying that I think we as Himalayan artists may have also arrived by now. In our tradition, like when we climb a summit of a mountain or hill, then we shout out victory to the spirit. Kiki sosol hajalo. So the idea was like to, how do you say, make a statement saying that, you know, yeah. So, and this is another, yeah, something similar from, and this is a large work that I created, All Things Considered, its title, and then I wanted to incorporate many children's images in the work. So children from Nepal, from Tibet, from India, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, everywhere. And again, another like series that I have been exploring is called, gestures, where like I incorporate lots of mudras, hand mudras, and feet to create something abstracted form of art. This was titled Muted Expression because I think the gesture and the mudras are also like language where we say so much without having to speak or utter a word. And these are just a few small works that I created after I went back to Nepal in 2018, miniature works inspired by like whatever I was noticing in my environment, and painting them in mythological. So this is a new work, also from 2019 or something like that. Again, the spirit is now, if you may have noticed, like earlier, the spirits had empty body, like the body part was kind of like empty, but now the deity is actually like infused within the, so maybe the spirit is a little empowered. So this is my imagination basically. And to me, the spirit is also becoming more and more like a superhero, because when I was growing up, I used to read a lot of comic books. And so my work was very much influenced by Tibetan Thangka painting, Bollywood movie posters, and comic books, you know, so they were all infused together. And having lived in America, I noticed like how Star Wars fans are so like crazy about. It's kind of like uh, watching Mahabharata or something like that, or Ramayana, or Lingesar's like epic story. So again, I felt like maybe there has to be some form of a Himalayan superhero too. It's actually, I mean, like we have heroes, the deities are heroes. But again, in order for me to connect with the younger generation, like, maybe the heroes have all the Buddhist ethics, or I don't know. So uh, something like that. And in 2015, after the earthquake, there was a lot of destruction in Nepal, and I was able to go there right after the earthquake and saw all of these monuments, like these temples and monasteries destroyed, damaged, and my father and I had a very, very long, serious conversation about this because we're so attached to all of these monuments we grew up seeing, like Bodhanath Stupa and many other temples and monasteries. So my father was very concerned, like he was concerned that maybe there are not enough like fully authentically trained traditional artists, be it Thangka painter or sculptors, because many of them have been passing away, and many of the younger generations are also not familiar with these traditions, and also not so much interested sometimes. So then we started talking about like finding some ways, because I lived here in the West, and he was asking me if there's anything we can come up with in like, maybe for preservation of traditional art or something like that. So that was the conversation. And this is just a few works that I created after the earthquake. And I started collaborating with some traditional artists. So the idea was like, how can I put a spotlight on some of the masters in Nepal or in that region, so that they can continue their work, so that they don't have to go through the same experiences like I had to. Because I know at times, even within our community, like sometimes we have been focusing so much on other stuff that the rich tradition and artistic tradition we have completely, maybe not negated, but ignored. How can we bring this back? So I just want to show you a small clip here where I was, it's maybe 1 minute long. So these are like people who create mandalas for practitioners as well as for tourists. And I found his skill to be very, very like amazing. I think he's like the third generation like artisan who's been continuing this tradition. And he was on the verge of like giving it up and go to Malaysia to work as, like work in some factory or something like that. And then I came up with an idea, like maybe we should collaborate together. Maybe I can like, I will come up with the idea and then instruct you what to make, and then you can use your skill to create something. So we collaborated together to create this specific. So the piece actually, we exhibited this in Hong Kong, and then in Kathmandu, and then in China, and eventually, like it is in New York at the Rubin Museum of Art right now. So what I was trying to do was trying to encourage these traditional artists not to like give up their, their skill set, to continue it, and also give an exposure to their skill set through contemporary language, so that now like Rajan is working, continuing his work, and I will be collaborating with him for more projects in the near future. And so I'm trying to facilitate a new audience for him, not just like tourists who come to Nepal, or just, but a museum audience, like art audience, so that they can continue their work. So the whole idea of like preservation is not just information, but also it has, in order for it to continue, they have to be able to sustain through it. So that was very important. And again, like collaboration with other artists in Nepal. So this is a sculpture and made it into fiberglass. And we had an exhibition here in Indiana. And this is the bronze sculpture, is also another collaboration. This is just installation shots from my exhibition. And in 2019, we also started a small organization called Himalayan Art Initiative, where I started like teaching classes to young artists who are interested in learning traditional art. We invite like, so I'm not teaching them myself, but I feel like I'm a little bit corrupted to teach the pure form of traditional art. So we invite practicing Thangka masters who actually teach that. And we're also organizing many classes for children. So somehow making art accessible for various groups of people. And also we established a small gallery in Kathmandu, which works like a platform for some of these artists who can showcase their work. And I think that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tsherin. That's really so amazing.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to go and we'll talk with our ongoing host and our school director, the Shangsheng School of Tibetan Medicine director, Menpa Punsak Wangmo, and get a little bit more of the perspective of the Tibetan art in the context of traditional Tibetan medicine. Menpa Wangmo, how are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing so well. So I'm so amazed, watching his photo. I'm sort of like, drawn into the image. So it's so interesting. Thank you,
Thank
Siringla.
you.
Really
Thank you.
wonderful. It's really wonderful. So yes, Adamla, I'm doing well.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, Tsherin. It's really just amazing.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Thank you.
There's no really explain, describe.
So, Menpa Wangmola, we have this long tradition of artistic rendering of the theory and the textual theory of Tibetan medicine. So we have the classical texts of Tibetan medicine, the Gyuji, the 4 root texts, and then we have various famous commentaries over the centuries. And so these are very often associated with illustrations, this famous system of illustrations. One really good example is the commentary called The Blue Barrel, a famous medical commentary by Sangye Gyamtso, which is dated to the 17th century. And it has a fabulous series of illustrations that depict many topics, the herbs, the instruments, the basic theory, the diagnosis, many different things depicted. And so anyone who sees this will see that it's very striking and very engaging. And as our guest Tsherin was saying earlier, he had a lot of exposure to this type of material and found it very inspiring as well, which I was really excited to hear. So Menpo Wangmo, can you just tell us a little bit, whatever you want to share about the system of medical thangkas and the connection between this vivid traditional art and the science of medicine in Tibetan medicine?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I think it's in general, the Thangka is like the painting image. When we see, it's a sort of like a visual healing, sort of like, when we see certain like a nice painted things, that also help us to relax or calm and happy, so on and so forth. So this is also like a visually healing. The second aspect also not only visually healing, but is into this small painting, we can learn a lot of things, the regions, peoples, their cultures, their background, their belief systems, and their relationships. So through this small painted, this tanka, you can learn a lot of the natures and included the mentality of the people. So this also one is very important. As Adamla, you said, through this the 80 tanka, medicine tanka. So through that, what we can learn is all the medicine systems, what the important, how they're related, so on and so forth. And then also everything through the illustrated, through the vision, also easy to memorize or easy to stay with you instead of everything into the words. So I think there's many reasons to put into these systems. In generally in Tibet, we say there is the systems of the Thangka painting. There is a five looks like a major systems of the Thangka painting, and then more common in samurai sort of like into three main systems. We call is Menluk, and then we call the Kenziluk, and then we call is a Galuk. So these three is that the two of them is more like the appeared in the 13th, 14th centuries area, maybe even a little earlier, and the more in the center and in the west and the South Tibet area. And the Kamagadi or the Galuk is another one system or tradition is which more appeared or developed, diffused in Eastern Tibet. So this three system is diffused three parts of the Tibet, and that is today is more common. The Hlasimenzikang in the 17th century, when they decided to put all those the medicine things into illustration, and the one is also easy to explain if someone is non-studied Tibetan medicine, if like a tourist or if someone comes to explain, easy to explain. The other hand, also for student, easy to see. So when they painted the time, then they had an idea. We should integrate all these three major systems, traditional systems we put into together to painting this, the medicine tanka. The reason is that the medicine is sort of like the healing art. So medicine is like in the Tibetan we call the man. Man is a sort of like healing. And then when we comes to the heal, what do we heal? Body need to heal, mind need to heal, energy need to heal. So everything need to heal, whatever the damaged part need to heal. Not only our body need to heal, our mind need to heal, but we need to heal all our environment. We need to heal our living beings who surrounded us. For that reason, is this three system has each system has its different put the colors, different like landscapes, and then different sort of like a slightly different way of the painting things, and then all this put together, and then to get a sort of like meaningful one is these three founders, the Tibetan they call is the Teshi Namsum. So the three Teshi like auspicious, three like person who founded this the tradition, the painting system. So this kind of I think that is sort of like that the main like idea was. And then, as I said, is the purpose when we're looking is like just to looking a image. It is a healing, and also through that the healing painting to understand. If yeah, you must be seeing a lot of the Tibetan Thangka. No, Tibetan Thangka is center one image. Also, what the thing like showed just, and then like the skies, clouds, and then natures, and then there's some the animals, which means is that everything interrelated. So my health is depend with the environment. My health is it also depend with the other beings life who is living in this. That also shows like the tanka is like a mandala, is like a center, like universal, and then we all living into that universal, and then we all interrelated. Our life is interdependent. So this is also like the one of the tanka. Another one, Thangka, is the Tibetan way of the painting the Thangka system that Srinla showed before. We saw a lot of beautiful things. And in general, looks like there is like a 9 or 10 different way of the making the Thangka. Thangka just like illustrated like the plain Thangka. And then the back, like the paper is like dark, we call the Thangnak, and the colorful, and then gold, so on and so forth. And then also like sewings, and then there's many other things. But why they do all those kind of things, one could be also like the art, beauty of the art, and then their talent, so on and so forth. But another hand also like offerings, when we painting a body of the Buddha. So that's something we really honor, we really like, or how should I say, we believe this is very important. And also the body of the Buddha is instead of just like plain color, and then they put like a gold. This is also part of this not only working, painting, enjoying, relaxing, but also is meantime is offering and accumulating sort of like merit. So this kind of this is, I think the Thangka painting has a multi-purpose. So unfortunately, I'm not artist, so I don't say a lot of things. But the Tibetan medicine Thangka, when it comes, there's 80 of them, and the first three Thangka is presenting the we call the Zawasunda Diva Dombogu, so that the three root, 9 trunk. So this that the root, the first root presenting like the body. So either we sick or healthy, its body is a unique one. So that is sort of like united, so like unity of. So this is one thing. And then the second, this healthy trunk and the unhealthy trunk. And then these two presenting sort of like healthy trunk and then unhealthy, they sort of like the ice and the water. The depend ice to the water or water to the ice is the matter of temperature change. So everything, if there's something change, then can change everything. And then there also like branches, leaves, and fruit and then flowers. So this trunk, the root color of the trunk, the color of the root is a little dark brownish, that presenting sort of like a solid and heavy. So root is like grounded. The trunk, the outer trunk color also little brownish because that presented the bark. Inside the trunk, and then there is a central, there is a red color, and then like the yellow, white, right, and the green. So this kind of like they're starting from the earth, water, fire, wind. So this kind of like the four colors presenting that the four elements. The the most of time is that when we explain the first tree, the center is red color that presented our solar energies. So the fire element or the solar energy is that to keeping our life. And the four other element is sort of like combined. And when we explained that the tree of the rejuvenation, so those kind of time, then the center light, center color is blue because that present our inner energies. So these kind of sometimes slightly different colors. So this is also like the five element. So that also explained how importance of the five element. Then we have the branches. Then we have the leaves. So each branches has their own sort of like explanations. An example, when we look in the healthy tree, we have all together sort of like the 3 branches and the 25 leaves. So this kind of, oh sorry, the 9 branches and the 25 leaves. So this that when we looking the first branches, and then they explained sort of like Lung by Pagan, all the color which presented the Lung is a little greenish. All the Tipa present is yellowish, or the Pagan present is a little pale. That also like what the element is involved. Then we have the bodily constituents. Second branches is more like the bodily constituents. Then there is like the 7 leaves. And the third is that the waste product. So these 3 branches with the 25 leaves to explain our body. And the second trunk, we have the 9 branches. And then this the first tree, we have 2 flowers and the 3 fruits. If you're able to keep everything healthy, and then you will have the 2 flower present the healthy and the long life. In order to have long life, you have to have good health. So that present. If you have long life and the good health, what we achieve? We will achieve 3 fruits. So there is 3 fruit. 3 fruit presenting sort of like devotion or devotion means so like the Dharma, wealth, and ultimate happiness. So when we looking this like the Dharma, we call the chu is like a Dharma looks like. So which means is that all your qualities, purpose of the human, to being born as like human different compared with other animals, we are a little bit different. What is the difference? why, how we make the different, eat same thing, sleep same way, fighting same way. So then what we different? We have this, the special mind or consciousness, or this the mind. Mind has a ability to thinking what is good and what's bad. So then we have, potentially we have improved the good quality. So this is sort of like the Dharma aspect. Once we have this, the good conduct or good ethic, either we call like Buddhism or non-Buddhism, doesn't matter, I think, as long as if you have a good conduct, then what we achieve is the wealth. Wealth doesn't sound is only the material wealth. There is like a counted like 7 wealth of the Dharma or holy wealth. So when we're looking sort of like some people looks like doesn't sound is like materially billionaire, but is a huge amount of being is following. When we're reading like a story of the Milarepa wasn't a wealthy at all. Most of his life is on the top of the mountain being hungry. Hardly he did not have any food. But he is one of the most famous, well-known person in this world. So how became that way? He has this, the holy wealth. So wealth doesn't mean only material, but is the other wealth. Okay, once we have all those things, especially if you have like holy wealth, then you will be happy. If we have a lot of material wealth, may not so happy, be a lot of things to worry. But if you have more, wealth of the holy, then like His Holiness, this is one example person in our life. So then this kind of like infinitive happiness comes. The happy is a source of the healthy. So I think this one is the interesting part, or at least what I see. And then, as you said, there are also like medicines, everything. And then also now we have extra 5 Thangka to explain all the astrologies. So now all together we have 85 Thangka to explain the Tibetan medicine. That's your question?
Absolutely. Yes, that answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Menpa Wangmala. Thank you very, very much. Well, so now is probably a good time, and we can move on to some question and answer time with the people in our audience, and see where that goes. I would like to get that ball rolling, if I may. I would like to ask Tsherin our first question, and then after that, we'll just go right in and see if our audience has any specific questions. So, Tsherin, thank you again for that awesome presentation and showing us so much of your work. You really shared a lot, and we got to see the whole progression of many aspects of your career. So thank you for that. So I have a quick question. So one of the themes in the work that you showed us today was the theme of this Tibetan spirit, embodied or personified as a type of character like a person. And you explained, if I understand and can paraphrase correctly, that this has something to do with the kind of traditional spiritual value system of Tibetan people, and then also their kind of the Tibetan collective cultural heritage and kind of consciousness collectively embodied as this person. And we saw several images of this spirit going through a type of progression. And the way it looked to me was that the first ones were kind of a little more in a wild or unmanifest or disorganized state. And I thought maybe that is under the influence of the challenges of the Himalayan diaspora and not quite finding a place yet. But then we saw this character turn into something more like a superhero, standing up, very embodied, very empowered. And I really appreciate that so much. So my question is, if this Tibetan spirit and cultural legacy spirit is growing and becoming stable in this kind of superhero path, what can you give us a hint of what is the next stage for our hero here? What's the next issue of this comic book? Can you give us some hint?
Yeah. So the whole idea, I think my work is very, very, I would like to categorize it as responsive. So whatever I'm interacting, experiencing in my day-to-day life somehow seeps into my work. And I guess in the beginning, when I first arrived here in the States, I noticed like everybody had just arrived. They were all trying to make things happen. We were so unaware of so many things. And also, I think there were like lots of challenges, I guess, trying to assimilate oneself, etc. And over time, what I'm beginning to see is like now people are much more, I guess, a little more confident in the sense like the education, through lots of different like also the identity, like many of the Himalayan diaspora now are able to like be proud of their own heritage, their culture. And then I see families trying to educate their children who are born abroad or in different places, trying to instill these values and these like cultural values, all kinds of values into them. And I think we are at a point where we can imagine like being at least together with the rest of the world, walking towards, I don't know, development, whatever. So, and the same thing I found after I went back to Nepal. I was, because I remember when I was growing up, like Himalayan people were considered a little bit regional, isolated back then. And then, like I was saying earlier, in a school where I went to study in Nepal, there were like maybe 5 people that looked like me. So now it's different. Like now there's kind of a collective thing happening. And then I see younger generations like also moving forward with all the education that they need. They're very, very confident. I can talk to a Himalayan person in Nepal who could be, I don't know, like as articulate and as sophisticated as anyone from any part of the world. So that was a different thing that I was noticing. So it feels like maybe, and at the same time, also having these value systems, like the Buddhist values, I would say probably, like having a little bit of compassion, understanding the idea of interdependence reality, understanding like equanimity, so few of these things, like I think the whole dynamic is changing. It's going towards something better, it feels like. So, and that was the expression that comes through in my work. So to your question, like what's the next step? We'll just have to wait and see.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tsherin. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to end our live stream on Facebook Live, and then we'll continue here on Zoom with a little more intimate question and answer with just our community here on Zoom. So everyone joining us on Facebook, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate collaborating with you. And I want to let you know about a couple of upcoming programs through the Shangsheng School of Tibetan Medicine that you can check. There's a link in the chat here on this page, and then also you can visit community.tibetanmedicineschool.org and see our online learning platform. But tomorrow we're going to have a short course with one of my dear colleagues, Menpa Matthew Schmuckler, and that's going to be Gut Brain Health and the 5 Winds, learning about the connection between the lung energy, the specific mechanics of the lung energy, working with our digestion and our digestive heat and our brain mental function for a healthy daily life. So that's going to be coming up tomorrow, and you can still register for that one. There's going to be a link in the notes. And then next weekend, we have a Yantra Yoga Intensive coming on Saturday and Sunday, July 17th and 18th, practicing Tibetan Yantra Yoga with our esteemed colleague, Luke Harmal. And so please, you can sign up for that one as well. And then we're going to have a series of more webinars and some more of our short online courses coming up too. So please do keep in touch. And also, if you ever have any questions or comments about any of our content, you can collaborate directly with us and we can chat on our learning platform. So please do join. All right. Thank you all so much again and have a great weekend. So now we're